Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. Today we're taking a look at a knife from Civivi. That of course is Wii's budget line, and this particular one is the Incite. All right, kind of a cool knife, available in a number of variations, and the price point on these is around $70. I can't remember if it's like high 60s or something like that. You can save yourself 10% off that price by using my discount code SHARPSTUFF over at White Mountain Knives, and I would encourage you to do that as it does help the channel. The other thing is, if you don't like this particular Civivi model, overall I've been really impressed with the quality that Civivi delivers, and you can get any of their models, and White Mountain Knives has lots in stock, so that discount code works for anything on their website, and thank you in advance for using it. Now, to get into this particular knife, the other thing I wanted to say by way of introduction is this is similar to another Civivi model known as the Praxis, and that's a knife I have reviewed, and I'm going to do my best to remember to put that video as one of the options in the end credits. If I forget, someone please remind me. Often, these videos post, days or even a week or more after I record the video. So sometimes as I'm getting everything set up on YouTube, I forget something I've said in the video. So if I forget that, please remind me down in the comments. Okay, knife itself, let's talk about the size and weight on this guy. This is pretty well right in my wheelhouse. 8 7/16 is the overall length, 3 5/8 on the blade. Handle length is 4 7/8 with a grip area that is between here and here, landing at 3 7/8. So lots and lots of room for your fingers there. Even someone with really big hands is going to be just fine. Big hands, I know you're the one, right? 4.62 ounces. So 4.6 ounces is not a big deal, but I could see how some people think that's a little heavy. But consider it's a fairly substantial knife, and they actually have milled this out to save some of that weight. In terms of how this carries in pocket, I find it quite nice. First of all, that deep carry clip is excellent. And second of all, I always find this to be the case with knives that have a contoured handle rather than like a slab-sided square handle. I always find they carry a little nicer in pocket. And that's just because there's no, there are no like square hard edges to sort of dig into you. Everything's just smooth and rounded and comfortable. So that always improves how something carries in pocket. The other option, of course, is to go sort of really slim like a Delica or Endura or American Lawman or something like that. That also is very comfortable. So that's size, weight, and how it carries. Next up, let's talk about this blade. So what we have here is a D2 blade in satin. And you guys know I'm a big fan of satin finishes. One, I find they look a lot nicer. 80% of the knives that are out there, I like the look of them. Hold on, this is all fingerprinted up. Let's see if I can clean it up a little bit for you. There we go. Not perfect, but better. So yeah, I always find, number one, satin looks nicer anyway, but even when it doesn't look nicer, I'm still inclined to go with satin. Sometimes there's knives out there, especially Wii knives, that have these nice DLC patterns on them, and they may look really sharp that way, but what I don't like about black coated knives is eventually that coating is going to wear and get beat up, where a satin finish knife, even if you do get a really bad scratch on it, a lot of times with an SOS pad or something, you can polish that right out, where you don't have that option on a coated blade. So I'm definitely going to be in favor of a satin finish, especially the other thing is on D2 steel, you want some high polished finish, or, there's the other option there. D2 steel, that might be a place to justify a coating because of the extra protection from corrosion that it can provide. D2 is not totally stainless. However, the performance is pretty nice, and certainly Civivi tends to do a really nice job with their D2 and on their blade grinds. I guess not, okay. Let me qualify this. They always do nice thin edges, so these slice really, really well. I would say this, I wish that they went with thicker stock. Okay, their blades tend to be quite thin, and that's not a horrible thing, especially for an everyday carry style knife, but that does mean that, this is not maybe as confidence inspiring as something like, I don't know, a Recon 1 or a Benchmade, Contigo or something like that. It's just a little bit thinner, which, I know makes the blade cut very well, but I I would like to see just a little bit more blade stock, or at least a couple of options in the Civivi lineup that have that thicker stock. Now, as this blade is right here, the thinness of it and the thinness behind the edge means this slices like crazy. It's very, very much like a kitchen knife. It's very slicey, very thin behind the edge, carries that thinness up all the way to here with that really high flat grind. So this slices like crazy. Any kind of, cutting task that you're going to be encountering on your day to day, this is going to do really well. Even wood carving is going to do really well. The only limit is that's not going to be as strong of a blade as perhaps some other options that are out there. So, and by the way, the D2 tends to work out really well with this one qualification. It is, as I've said, it's not a fully stainless steel. Here's the one time that I've had D2 rust on me. I've never had problems with it in my part of the world. Now, if you live, I don't know, in the Florida Everglades or something like that, you'll probably need a more, stick with LC200N. The only time I've ever had a problem with D2 is I've had a couple of knives in my pocket when I go to a long fire call. And sometimes, you're in your bunker gear for hours, right? I've had tons of calls where you're there for, 5, 6, 10 hours, working hard, sweating like crazy. You're wearing a snowsuit and the knife in your pocket is subjected to all that sweat. Okay. And sweat is really, really, it's salty and really corrosive. So I have had problems with D2 in that situation, although I must say that's going to be a bad situation for most steels. Okay, moving on to the action and deployment and lockup and all that good stuff. This is on bearings, and the action is very enjoyable. That's, of course, one of the places that Civivi really shines. They tend to do really, really nice actions, and that's where I think one of the main drawing factors for this knife, or most of the Civivi lineup, is. Why would you switch from, say, a Rat Model 1 to this? Well, because of that fidget factor, because you're getting something that you're, a smoothness and feel that you're not going to find most of the time on a knife that's under $200 even. Okay, so Civivi does a really nice job, and they're not the only ones. Bestech tends to do a great job. Kaiser's Tangram series is where I would draw a bit of a comparison and say they don't do as nice as Civivi or Bestech. As nice a job as Civivi or Bestech. Okay, so lock bar here is quite accessible. That's a big thing for me. I don't want to be fighting to get my thumb and jamming it in here and trying to get this open. You don't even have to think about it. You just push the bar over and it works. The blade will drop shut. I'm not showing you that very well, but let's see here. There you go. There. A little bit of shaking and that blade drops right shut. The detent is nicely set so that whether I push button or light switch, this deploys quickly and easily. And everything is comfortable and reliable. So all the points on, lockup and deployment are there. Very, very enjoyable action on this knife. I would say this, again, with my comments about, forget it. I'll save that for a different video. I would like to see, again, some different options in terms of the way they do their pivots, but that's okay. Moving on to the handle. Now, the handle is definitely something we want to talk about a little because they've done a really nice job here. So this is layered G10 and carbon fiber. So they've laminated these together and then milled them into this really nice contoured pattern. It looks really great. I find it looks definitely, higher end and classy. Now they are charging you a little for this. So keep in mind that this is, about $70, where something like the Praxis, or I'm trying to think of the other model, the Backlash was another early Civivi. Those models come in a little cheaper with just the plain G10. So this is a little fancier, a little more interesting, but you're gonna, you're gonna bear a certain amount of cost for that. We've got G10 backspacer here. Nice little lanyard pin, and I like the way they've done that. It doesn't interfere with the design at all. It doesn't interfere with the ergonomics. It's just nicely kind of hidden in there, so if you want a lanyard, you can easily do it. But if you don't want one, it doesn't interfere with anything else. Being really nicely contoured, this fits wonderfully in hand. The deep carry bent over clip is just simple and effective, and I really, really like it. It goes in and out of pocket really well. Most of the knife is hidden. I mean, it's just all the things you want from a deep carry clip. This really provides and does it well. It may not be all fancy and milled and all that kind of stuff, but it's highly, highly functional. All right. And we've got Torx hardware. You can see the Civivi logo over here. And again, Torx hardware over there. By the way, this has been quite heavily milled out to save some weight. As I mentioned before, they only got it down to 4.6 ounces. But I mean, it's a fairly large knife, so 4.6 ounces is completely tolerable. I have no issue with that whatsoever. Because of those contoured handles, the best part about this is just how comfortable it is in hand. This is a knife that just feels really, really nice. Fantastic, in fact. If you're someone who does a lot of cutting with your EDC knife, by the way, you can also choke up on this. This is a really nice, really well contoured handle that's highly enjoyable to use as a working tool. Okay. Let me see. Is there anything else that I want to share with you guys before we move on to some comparisons? I'm just kind of looking over things. Nope, I think we're good. So let's go ahead and grab some comparisons. Probably one of the more obvious is going to be the Rat Model 1. Where's my Rat Model 1? Sorry, guys. Turns out I didn't have it right here beside me, so I had to go over and get it. So Rat Model 1, there it is there. You can see these are fairly close in size. Both of these, by the way, are using D2 steel. The carbon fiber on the Rat 1 definitely looks a little cheaper. And I mean, the knife itself is going to be a little cheaper anyway, but there it is. I think most people are familiar with the Rat Model 1. I would say this guy is going to be a little more robust compared to this guy. I would almost call this, I actually would call this a hard use knife, where I'd be hesitant to give that one the same label. Let's grab a couple of other sort of similarly constructed knives. What have we got here? Here is the Best Tech Muskie. This guy is just G10. It doesn't have the carbon fiber there, but still a nice looking knife. Very good action, very accessible, and I really like the blade shape on this guy, but worthwhile to consider if you're looking at this. Oh, I should have thrown a Para 2 in here to start. So there is the Para 2. Again, just because people are very familiar with it, everyone kind of has an idea about the Para 2. Spyderco Indela. So if you're just looking for, a working everyday carry knife, the Indela is a pretty good option, and maybe somebody, and similarly priced as well. Now VG10 instead of the D2, which if you're in that situation where you're wanting something more stainless, this might be a great option for you. What else have we got? Oh, here's a good comparison. So this is the Steelwill Shayla, and I think this is a really nice comparison. G10 liner lock on bearings, so similar construction, similar blade length. Interesting, quite different in terms of design. This is going to give you a lot of the same utility, a lot of the same performance, but carry quite a bit smaller and lighter, which is something to consider for sure. Another really nicely done deep carry clip there. I guess that's probably enough. Overall conclusion on this knife. I think this is a really nice design. I think it's extremely comfortable in hand. It's well put together. I like the performance on this blade. I could wish it were just a little thicker in blade stock, but that's not really an issue. In terms of performance, everything about this makes me happy, right? It's got great action, great cutting tool, feels great in hand, carries comfortably. There's just nothing to complain about with this one. And of course, you're getting some extra little upgrades that some people might find very, very appealing. Again, you want to go over to White Mountain Knives and check this guy out, this or any of the other Civivis. And there are quite a few good ones out there. Use my discount code to save yourself 10%. That code is SHARP STUFF. And thanks for watching. We will talk to you soon.